And don't you think that one fine day, or not so fine day, you might get locked up? The most important thing is not to give them any address. So that's the gun. And how much is a gun like this? You have to look at their financial capabilities, how much they can give you. The main buyers are losers and whiners. I guess old habits die with you, huh? Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new People Pro video, and I don't even know how to call this man's line of work, but our previous guest reached out to me, if you remember Kolya, who makes fake document scans, who has been in our studio before. So he called me with such a story that someone was wiring money for his course, and the money went not where it was supposed to go. So there was some kind of fraud, and then the story comes up, and the main hero of which is our guest today. In general, he does internet fraud of all kinds, so watch this video till the end, and there will be a whole bunch of useful information for those who buy something on the internet, for those who sell something, and especially for those who want to protect themselves from any kinds of fraud. So tell me what happened with Kolya and what's with all that money. So you ripped someone off, or how did all of this happen? Yeah, hi. So where do I start? So I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and one day your channel came up in recommended. And that's when I saw the fake document scan maker, Kolya. I found out his name later on, though. I just know that he was into like forging scans. So the thing is that I'm a scammer myself. So I discovered this guy, Kolya, and I just made a fake Telegram account like his, and his Telegram was not protected at all. I mean, I could make like 3 to 4 such accounts. So I created this fake Telegram, and literally a couple of hours later, I got a message from a person. And later I realized it was a girl, and she wanted to learn how to make fake scans of like certain documents. So I replied that yes, we have such courses, and to ensure her that it was me, I just sent her a link to the original real website of Kolya where all of his courses are listed. So after that, she had no more doubts that it was legitimate. So she asked me how to pay. So eventually she wired me $130. And then the next day when the courses started, she realized that she got scammed because nothing happened. As far as I know, his courses cost way more. Yeah, Kolya's course cost much more, but we agreed that she is sending me $130 now, and then the rest of the money tomorrow before lunch, like it was the 9th, and on the 10th she was supposed to like wire the rest of the money when the courses begin. And you said that you made a fake Telegram account of Kolya. How were you able to do that? So the thing is that Telegram is such a thing that works in a way that if you miss one digit or add another digit when picking the number or a username or replace it, then the person gets to the scammer's account instead of the real one, instead of the real account of the seller. You mean if you skip or replace a digit in the username? In the address, exactly in the address. Or a letter. Or a letter, yes, it can be a letter, it can be a digit, it depends on the account. And so you just create a Telegram account with a username that looks like the real seller? Yes, exactly. You just create a similar username with the name of the seller, and then the buyer or the user who is looking for courses or anything else to buy out there on the internet, they find you, because you show up higher on the search list than the real seller. And how come they get to your fake account first? How is it on the top of the list? For example, because of the missed letter at the end of the name. So generally, people look for everything on the internet, right? Including Kolya's courses. Like, they might learn about them from your video with him. And people use Telegram from their phones. So if the user starts typing, like they pull up the phone, they start to type the username of what they are looking for. And the whole trick is that when one letter at the end is missing, they type the exact username of the account, but not the full one yet, and they see my fake account right away before they type the full one. Like, do you see where I'm going with this? If they add one more letter, they will see the real seller. But since they haven't typed it yet, they will tap on my account probably. And it will have, of course, the same name and the same photograph as the real account of the seller. So if I understand correctly, you pick the same username as the seller, but you miss one letter at the end, for instance, so that's a little shorter and shows up before the original account. And then you also steal their profile picture so that it looks just like the original one. Yeah, and exactly the same name. And so the user is looking for a username like Kolas or any other one, but they see yours first. Yeah, and they tap on my account. And so if they didn't do a good job of checking everything, then of course they will end up texting you. Most of the people don't check at all, especially if you send a link to the original website. It will completely let their guard down, and they're completely trusting you now, because previously they have seen and visited this website, as well as left their request there. So they will see that the website is not fake because it's the original one, and that will make them think that everything is legit. And so how does the story end? As far as I know, you gave the money back to Kolya. Yeah, I did. I did. Kolya called me, we talked. It didn't go well first, though. Like, first he insulted me, so I asked him to call me. We talked to each other, and he suggested that I reach out to you, and he said that this topic will be so relevant. So I decided to text you, and as for our problem with Kolya, by the way, we're done with that. You know, this story is very unique and interesting because among all of the fraudsters, all sorts of scammers who reach out to me constantly on Telegram, on Instagram, basically through all the communication channels, you are the only person who actually got here. Because, I guess a scammer is a scammer. They will promise that they will come tomorrow and then they just disappear. And so it's great that now we can actually talk to a real-life scammer. And so if you make a fake Telegram or make like a similar account, do you text people first, like your potential victims? No, I never reach out first. And actually, I don't really make fake Telegram accounts either. Most of the Telegrams that I use are just abandoned since like 2014, 2017, which haven't been online for a long time, but people can still find them. And these are purely original Telegrams, not changed in any way. And where do you find such accounts? There's a lot of them on the web if you use Tor, and as well as in a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, but how can they be used in real life for some kind of fraud? For a fraud in real life? Well, it really depends on the subject. For example, my personal preference, it's unacceptable personally for me to steal from honest sellers. For instance, like those who help people with marketing or something, I can fake them. I mean, I can technically create fake accounts, but it's just not fair for me. I kind of specialize in a different kind of stuff, and I look for Telegram accounts related to certain subjects. Which ones? Some particular subjects, maybe like this. Don't worry, it's fine. It's just pneumatic. That's pneumatic? Yeah, it's a pneumatic gun. This gun was sold for around $6,500. What do you mean it was sold? Did you get 6.5 grand for this one gun? Yeah, exactly. I got $6,500 for this one gun, and I sold it more than once. And no matter how funny it may sound, it's actually like this. So I'm looking for Telegram accounts of people who sell weapons. There's great demand. And mainly the people who want to buy a gun are those who want to either get rid of a rival in love, so-called romantic whiners, no offense. Some want to get rid of business competitors. And at the same time, when I quote-unquote sell this gun, I basically save 2 lives, because one person does not die from it because he doesn't get killed, and the second person doesn't go to jail. Let's go step by step though. You need to find an account of a firearm dealer or a person who has previously posted links somewhere on forums, maybe offering to buy a gun from them, correct? Yes, that's right. Okay, and what happens next? Do you create a similar but a little bit different Telegram account? No, not exactly. It's not a different account. It's the original account. It's just an abandoned Telegram account that hasn't been used since like 2014, 2015, and those forums sometimes are already abandoned too. But as my experience shows, people still use those forums, they find them and they see those usernames and they reach out to me, and this is basically how they find me. And do they ask you, like, can you sell a gun or do you have any guns available? How do you even start your initial dialogue? Well, my initial dialogue starts with their questions. Like, they wonder what I have in stock at the moment. Some people are interested in particular guns, particular models. Mostly it's just a gun with a silencer. Everyone's interested in a gun with a silencer. So, like this one. Yeah, of course they can also ask for like a bazooka or a helicopter, and of course I say no. But it also depends on the person, and you have to understand that you have to feel the communication. Like if you tell them that you have a bazooka and a helicopter, I don't think they're gonna believe that. So many of them ask for like a sniper rifle, for instance. And generally, I also say that's not available. Very rarely, when I really feel that a person can pay for it, it can be ordered. But first, they have to pay money immediately. Do they wire you a full payment or do they deposit a part of it upfront? So in some cases, they make a full payment right away. But there are times when they pay for a product, well, the product that actually doesn't exist, of course. So they make a partial advanced payment, but then they change their mind maybe. And sometimes it happens that the next day they just text me something like, I'm sorry, I don't need a gun, and they don't even ask for a refund. My thinking is that maybe they're afraid that I have all their information because they send me the information so that I can send them the gun. Send it by mail? Yeah, by mail, and that's why I need their full postal address. But they can just give you the address of some figurehead and that's it. You don't know if that's their real address. Well, it's not that simple. I also ask for a phone number, and through certain people, I can match their exact address knowing their phone number. So I already know where this gun is going and who ordered it. I mean, there's no way they can take it back and say like they didn't buy it or they didn't order, because I also make screenshots of all the chats during the conversation. So even if they delete the chat, there's no point in that, because you already have those screenshots saved. Yeah, absolutely. I have all the screenshots because there were cases where people text me like, you're a scammer after paying, and like, you're a fraud, I will report you to the police, you will go to jail, and so on. And in such cases, I just send them the screenshots and say that if you do that, well, this is what's happening. What I'm trying to say is that it also depends on the person. In situations like this, I can use blackmail against them. I possess their full personal data. I have confirmation of the transactions, where they wired the money from, and where exactly that money went. And usually if they start threatening me with the police, they end up paying 150 to 300 more, depending on their capabilities. And this is where the conversation ends and they forget about it. And how much do you sell a gun like this for? And you sell it like a Makarov or a PM, right? Yeah, as a PM, it costs 1,300 without a silencer and around 1,500 with a silencer. And what about ammo? Well, they don't usually ask for ammo. They don't ask to show it or to take a photo of it. I usually say that I also have ammo and it costs like $100 to $200 depending on the person who's buying. For a pack? Yeah, and the pack has 50 pieces. I ask like $100 to $200 for a pack, but as I already said, it depends on the person. It's all about their financial capabilities, how much they're willing to pay. And what did they ask you to show the product before buying it to make sure that you have it? Well, yeah, there were cases like that. And in such cases, there's a special app. Honestly, I don't remember how it's called. So there were cases when they asked to plant a cache with a gun first. That is, they want me to put it in a certain city so they can get it. So I record that on video with a certain app where you can't see any signs or anything, and so that you can't tell that's a pneumatic gun. I basically go out somewhere in the woods and film a video for the person, and I send it to them saying that it's already in their city, ready for them to get it. I also change my voice in the video, and I modify the video itself so that it's so low quality that you can tell that it's a gun, but you will never see that it's a pneumatic gun, and right after that, the person pays me. And how do they mostly pay you? Most of the times they neglect any security and they just pay me with a bank card. Like a regular bank card? Yeah, they just wire me the money. I mean, I have a virtual electronic card and they just pay directly with their card from their bank account. In rare cases, I receive payments in Bitcoin or through some online systems, but that happened maybe like 2 to 3 times. And have you ever got requests for weapons from women? No, women haven't ordered any guns from me, but women sometimes order like harming their husbands, their lovers, or their love rivals. That happens sometimes. So they want to pay for physical violence. That's the kind of orders I get from women. And how much do you charge for that? There's no particular price. You also approach every client individually, but I normally say like 2,500. And do many of them agree? There was a couple of people, yeah. Okay, I get that part. Women don't order firearms. Then who is the main buyer of guns on the internet based on your experience? Well, like I said, the main buyers of guns are love whiners. You mean like jealous husbands of some sort? Not necessarily husbands. It may be ex-husbands who got dumped by their wives, or they dumped their wives and they want to get them back, but their wives or husbands already have someone else in their lives. So basically what they want to do is they want to get rid of that person who's in their way now. You know, like the third wheel, as they say. And those ads that they find you from, where do you say you post them? Those ads are on the dark web, and there's a lot of ads like that on the dark web. Mainly you get access to them through Tor browser, and there are also some on the regular web and in YouTube videos. Like videos about selling guns? Yeah, about selling guns or just filming guns, like real firearms. And so you make like 4 sales per month tops offering to buy a gun? Yeah. And so then, how else do you make money except for imitating gun sellers or like with Kolya when you imitate course sellers? No, I wouldn't say that I imitate sellers at all. I mean, imitating sellers is a wrong term. The accounts I use for my moves is either like abandoned by people who left their Telegram accounts or they were scammers themselves. Or the person got locked up or they died and their Telegram account got abandoned. Yeah, that's also possible. And also I earn from my websites, so I have my own scam websites where I sell drugs. I mean, they're not, obviously not real. Oh, so you mean those are scam websites where you offer to buy drugs, but you don't actually, like, sell anything? Yeah, in fact, I'm just selling air. Air is way better for your health than drugs, you know? I got it. So how does the whole process look like? Do you design and develop those websites by yourself? No, not at all. I just use pre-made websites. They may also be scam sites. So there's a certain app. I use it to completely copy a website to make a full copy of it. And I got a guy who gets them to the top of the search engines. So that, like, if a person types in buy alpha PvP in the search engine, my websites will come first. Or so-called bath salts. I haven't tried this exact keyword, but yeah, they're optimized for many related keywords like that, and they will show up at the top of search. In multiple search engines? Yeah, 2 of the most popular ones. And what's the lifespan of a website like this? That may vary, but on average, they're online for a month, for sure. But recently I've started to notice that like once every 3 months, they get deleted. Like they block the domain address. Yeah, exactly. But sometimes there's a problem with the hosting provider. Sometimes it's the hosting provider that deletes the website or blocks the domain address, just like that. Okay, and how exactly do you use those websites to scam people? Well, with those scam websites, the whole system is pretty simple. The victim goes to Google, they type in certain keywords related to what they want to buy, and Google returns my website. The website has a full catalog of products and also regions, cities, countries, because my websites work not only for one country. And so the person picks what they need, the type of drug that they want to get, and the payment form is on the website as well, of course. So they choose the drug and the method of payment. And so they just pay for their order using my payment details, and of course, they get nothing in return. I mean, except for fresh air. Okay, and how many clients like this you have per day that quote-unquote buy drugs from you? I guess around 10 per day. But that's not only from Russia, that's actually from different countries. You're doing all right for yourself, I think. You sell something that you don't have, they can't go to the police because they will get charged themselves. Yeah, that's exactly right. And how many websites like that do you have? Well, at the moment, I just have one. I got just one website left. I haven't been working on them for quite a while because I didn't have time. I kind of fully switched to firearms currently. But I'm planning on getting back to those scam websites, like restoring them, and I'm gonna make a few more of them. But then you can also film a few videos about guns and spread them around, put them on YouTube, and maybe even promote them through YouTube if possible. And put all of the links to your resources under those videos in the description, and you're basically good to go. Well, honestly, I don't see why I would need to do that. You see, I'm not interested in scamming people who want to buy a traumatic gun or who want to buy a pneumatic gun. I'm only interested when people want to kill someone, like order to kill someone, like out of jealousy, to order an assassination. You know what I mean? Like those stories are exactly what I'm interested in, and that's my field. Can you tell me the most extraordinary story that you have related to gun selling? The most extraordinary one. Okay, so a person reached out to me, or rather, he didn't actually reach out to me. I found him myself. Because I also look for potential clients sometimes. They also post requests somewhere that they need help with, either like getting rid of a competitor in love affairs or something like that. And so this person that I mentioned, like 5 years ago, he had left his wife and then he wanted to get back to her. But of course, 5 years have passed, so I don't think she's a nun or something. Of course, after 5 years, she already had someone else. And so that guy that I contacted asked me to get rid of that man so that he's like completely out of the picture. And so after the conversation, eventually I agreed to do that. I named him a price for that, and he paid me the money. And how much was it? About $1,300. Like just for a gun or the full assassination service? The full service, yeah. And in the process of communication, I understood that the person is weak and that he's gonna pay more. He won't have any other options. So after he paid me those 1,300, of course, I had some particular conversations with him, after which he actually changed his mind to kill that guy. And now what he wanted to do was he wanted to get him locked up. Like he wanted him in jail so that he gets raped and stuff like that. So he already wanted something different. It's like I was kind of pushing him, and at the same time, I was trying to talk him out of that. And he got really confused and didn't really understand what he was supposed to do anymore. Like the money was paid, and he was already scared because I had all of his data at hand. So he was keeping silent for quite a while because he didn't really know what to do. And finally, after the payment and all of that, I texted him that his wife, I mean his ex-wife and her current boyfriend, they were going to a hotel where they were going to have sex. And I told him we have installed cameras there. But of course, it was all nonsense, and this whole story is just as absurd. So naturally, he asked for a video. And I was like, yeah, of course, we have the video. I can give you a link to this video if you pay 300 more. So he just pays that right away without even saying a word. And I send him a broken link, like a regular broken link with nothing. So he clicks on that link and gets nothing, of course. And after that, I tell him it's his problems if his computer is not working correctly or something. Like, it's not my fault that you can't open the link. That's what I'm trying to tell him. Next, he asks if I can record that video for him and send it to him. And I'm like, yes, of course, I can do that for you, but that would be like $150 extra. So he pays that $150 more. And we find a video, like a regular porn video where there's, something happening in the dark, like a man and a woman in the dark, and you can only see her back and her ass and the man, some kind of man. And so we send him that video, but I haven't seen that girl, like his ex-wife. And it turns out that she has a tattoo going from her like shoulder blade right to her, what's it called, ankle. So she has a huge tattoo. And so when he gets the video, he asks me like, where the fuck is the tattoo? And so I just totally go with the flow, and I'm like, you shouldn't ask me where the tattoo is. I mean, we got you the video. We definitely, for sure, 100% know that it's your ex-wife. And as for her tattoo, you should ask her that question. And so he believed that. I have no idea, honestly, how in the world he could have believed that, but it's true. It's so funny to me. So he believed that, and he continued paying money to me in the course of like a week. And so eventually he ended up paying around $2,500 all in all. So then I called this woman and I told her the whole story, how this whole thing unfolded, and I called her from an unknown number through WhatsApp. And so she understood me. We had quite a long talk with her, and she started to help me. She told me that the man had some more money on his bank account, and she told me that she would help me to take over that money. Like, she didn't care about his money, she didn't want it. The main thing for her was to make sure that he didn't bother her. So I promised her that he was not going to bother her anymore, but she would need to help me and do exactly as I say and text him whatever I tell her. And it's with her help I got the rest of the money from him, and I got the $2,500 in total. And so this story is just hilarious, I guess. This all happened about 3 months ago, and it was really interesting and weird. And honestly, I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't actually in the center of it, like if someone would just tell me this story. So mostly it's not about like business competitors, but people mostly want to get rid of someone out of jealousy or broken heart. Yeah, it's mostly love affairs. And how often did people threaten you with the police? I mean, it's clear they probably wouldn't text you about that. Not very often would I get any threats like that, and like I said, the question with the police gets easily done with. I just show them the screenshots of our conversations, and I just kind of punish those people even more for such things. I start blackmailing them, like I send them the screenshots and they're like, okay, forget it, I don't want anything from you anymore. And I'm like, no, I won't forget it. I'm gonna need some $300 more to forget it because I got all the screenshots, the chats, the billing details, where you wired me the money from, what was the subject of the deal, or sorry, all this information is going to certain places. And so the person gets scared and pays even more money. Well, I mean, I make sure that they're able to pay that money because it's not like I want to force them to pay, and instead of paying because they don't have money, they can harm themselves instead or something. Maybe they were just furious at the moment and they said too much, but now they're getting pressed and they fear, and God forbid they do something to themselves. But mostly they just pay me the money and forget about all of it. And some of them even told me like, you can think that I just gave it to you for free. And have you ever thought of the moral side of this whole thing, that you deceive people who want to solve their problems? No, I haven't. I look at it in a different way. I really think that thanks to me, 2 lives actually get saved. One person doesn't go to prison and the second person stays alive. And the third one doesn't get drugs and improve their health. Exactly, some people get healthier because of me, or they didn't get caught while trying to find that drug cache, if it was really there, I mean. But I think you still accumulate some bad karma or something. Do you believe in God or karma? No, I don't believe in karma or God or religion. And how long have you been doing internet fraud in general? Well, I'm doing all sorts of internet fraud since 2012. So, quite a while already. Yeah. And don't you think that one fine day, or not so fine day, you might get locked up? No, I don't think so. Mainly because those people won't go to the police to report me, as they may get in bigger trouble than me. They are more scared than I am. They wanted to buy guns, to kill someone, to hurt someone. They wanted to buy drugs. So basically, they're more in danger than I am, actually. Mostly it's about drug addicts, though. Because junkies that buy from my website are those who use synthetic drugs, like alpha PVP or spice, and they're mostly mentally unstable people, and they're paranoid and anxious all the time themselves. And that's why they're just scared, and they're scared more than me. Okay, so you scam people posing as a gun seller, but is it really possible to actually buy a gun on the internet, like, safely? I wouldn't recommend anyone to do that. Why is that? Personal security reasons mostly. Of course, if a person wants to buy a gun, he will find it through people that he knows. A normal person will never go to the internet to buy a gun or to buy drugs. I mean, if a person has some people in his circle, he will find it if he really needs it, or they will help him find it. But someone who's browsing in the internet in search of that, typing buy a gun in the search line, those people are just idiots, I think. But drugs are mostly bought on the internet still, for the most part. Well, the thing is that most buyers already know their website where they buy them from or their discussion boards, like the dark web ones. Yeah, of course, they have already chosen their platform and they know what they're doing. And those who search for drugs in Google, they're just starting out. You can even put the name of some famous illegal stores on your website and it will work perfectly for them. So, as you can see, trying to buy a gun on the internet is pointless because you will most likely get scammed, let alone get into trouble with cops. Like, they can question you why you wanted to do that, and if you say that that was for your ex-wife or your ex-husband, you might even get charged for attempted murder. Yeah, and I'm not the only one who's doing that. I know there are other websites like mine, also fraud, but as I understand, they don't pay for promotion. And I usually do that. If I'm building a website, I optimize it and promote it for money on a commercial basis. And I also hire people in different cities for graffiti marketing. So what they do is they draw the name of my website on buildings and stuff like that. Okay, got it. And then how do you protect yourself if you're selling something online like Photoshop courses, like Kolya, for instance? How does he protect himself so that the scammers don't use his name and rip off his potential clients? Well, first off, you should take account names just like yours, but missing one and two letters at the end, so that no one uses them. I mean, the user tag. So you make sure that those are also taken by you. You don't necessarily need to create a separate account. You can create a Telegram channel with that name, for instance, and you don't have to fill it in even. You just have to take those user tags, missing one letter at the end and missing two letters, and that's the basics. That's just for starters. That's the most important thing, and that's the first thing you should do, and that will already give you some level of safety. And secondly, never use I and L letters in account names because they look the same, and often not very attentive clients come to scammers just because of that. That happens very often, and scammers know that and they use that. And what about O and 0? Yeah, those can also be interchanged, but if you're very inattentive. But yeah, that also works sometimes. So next, if you work at dark web forums, you better take good care of your thread and ask moderators to delete old links to Telegram accounts that were in the initial post. People often get into that trap as well. Because let's say in the first post there's some contact information that you left, like a Telegram account. And people don't really double check anything. They see that you offer something and they see your account name in the first post, an account that doesn't exist anymore. And then somewhere in the middle of the thread, there's a post where they say that their account is different now. That's also a big mistake. You should watch for your posts and update your contact information everywhere. And if you change it, you should ask the administration of the forum to update that for you. And what other kinds of Telegram fraud do you do or do you know about? I'm unaware of any other kinds except for those that I've mentioned. Well, let me add something as well then to like selling products that don't exist. So scammers make like an online store of clothes that carters bought using someone else's credit cards or those products that shoplifters stole somewhere in Europe. And that's why this online store has like electronics at 60% of the price or just stolen brand clothes. And they make a ton of fake testimonials and the person sees that it can be trusted and wires the money and that's it. I think those are your colleagues who own such fake online stores. Maybe they're my colleagues, but I haven't heard about that, like schemes like that. I'm not really involved in any kind of schemes except for what I do. I'm just doing my own thing. I don't depend on anyone and I don't watch anyone else. I mean, it's actually really the first time that I hear that some people sell some non-existent products on Telegram. Were you raised in a full family? Yeah, a full family. So both mom and dad, and what level of wealth did your family have? Pretty good. Decent level, I would say. We weren't poor. But we weren't like rich either. Like, I wasn't richer than my neighbor from downstairs, although everyone was richer than my neighbor, like that line from the song. But so, what made you start your criminal career? I mean, you have 5 criminal records and you're only 30. So at 16, I was doing bank loans and we were taking out loans on gypsies and homeless. We were making documents and taking big money loans back then. By the standards of those years, that was big money. That was like 2005 and 2007, I guess. You mean like consumer loans for buying electronics like laptops? No, just loans. They were just called loans back then, meaning it was just money for no particular goal. And so you didn't pay those loans back. Right, because they were issued for poor people and homeless. And how did it work? Didn't the bank workers see who's applying for a loan if it was a homeless person? The bank workers were also part of the game, and we also had employers who made documents for those people. They were making a full pack of needed documents and assigned a person who would be taking that loan, and we didn't even have to make him look well dressed or anything. He just went in the bank, they gave him the money, and he went back out right away. And how much did you pay them? It depended on the sum of the loan, but not much at all. Pennies, basically. Not more than like $40 out of $1,000. So that's like less than 5%. Yeah, right. And when they did that, did they understand that they might be looked for after that? Like they may be charged for that or just get a lawsuit? I guess they didn't really care about that. Most of them were alcoholics, so all they wanted was to get drunk. So those were misfits. Yeah, they definitely were. After that, I got married, and my wife asked me to quit all that illegal activity with the loans. With loans, and also with all of my scamming activities in general. So I really quit all of it, and then I tried to apply for a job, like, a regular official job. So I switched many jobs. I worked as a driver, and there was always a problem with salary. It was always delayed. My boss, he didn't pay me the salary. The last month, I didn't even get anything. And so then I just took the fuel card of my employer that I used to buy gas for the car and sold the fuel to get the amount of money that he owed me. And of course, I kept a little more as my interest because the payment from him was late. And after that, I decided to go back to scamming, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And that's when I decided to create fake accounts of some girls, and I started doing some moves online on their behalf. And I started to get money from all sorts of like perverts. Were they like Facebook pages or something? Yeah, VK pages, because back then VK was probably the most popular social network in Russia. There were a lot of people active there. And so those guys wanted to see all kinds of perversions, and they were willing to pay money for that. And of course, those were advanced payments, and they were getting nothing. And why aren't you doing that now? Well, because I wanted to get to a new level, I wanted to grow. So later on, I gave up that kind of activity and I started some new things, but I still have a feeling that I'm not going anywhere with those. So that's one of the reasons that I want to try something completely new, like launching a YouTube channel. Well, I think you're going to be great at that because you speak coherently and you have a lot of experience in social engineering and scamming, and now you can use it in a different way and tell people how to protect themselves from all kinds of fraud, basically what we're doing now. So that's good initiative. And does your wife know what you're doing now, like that you're still a scammer? Yes, absolutely, she's aware. Does she support you or maybe help you? Well, she doesn't really support or help me, but after that story with my employer, she doesn't tell me to quit it anymore. I mean, when our family started to have comfortable financial situation, she must understand that each to his own. I just can't work as a regular employee. For me, scamming is something I can be really good at. Some people are good at working at a factory, so basically I just chose my own path and she accepted that. Like you listened to her and tried to go legal, but you just didn't succeed. Yeah, I failed. And it's not that I haven't tried hard enough or anything. I really worked my ass off, but it just turned out that I was being used. And do your parents know about your scamming career? Yeah, my parents know. Do they approve of that? Well, I didn't really ask for their permission or anything, and I don't feel the need to. I don't share any details of my work with them. They just know that I'm in scamming and that you had problems with the law. Yeah, of course they know about that too. Thanks for sharing that. Let's move on to a quick Q&A. How do you see yourself in 20 years? As an old man? Well, you can't miss that. It's going to happen to all of us. But what's your perfect image of the future in 20 years? I think it will be along the same lines. I imagine myself the same as now. So the lifestyle of an opportunist and a scammer, yeah, I think it's not going anywhere. So you'll still be scamming people. I think there will be just new ways to do it. Okay, so how much do you earn per month on average now? Like you said, the top income was about $10,000. I guess it's 3,000 on average. So 3 grand, that's stable income that you always get. Correct. Well, I wouldn't say that's a lot. I mean, to risk your freedom. Well, I don't see it as a small income compared to people who work their asses off like 24/7, on regular jobs. And I basically work about 1 hour in a day. And I'm not attached to any workplace or to a car that I drive. I can take a walk anytime. I can sleep. I can be at my computer. And basically my work is that all I gotta do is reply to text messages. What's your favorite book? I don't read books at all. The last book that I remember was the ABC. Yeah, I still remember some parts of it. It's like I've read 3 books, the ABC, the blue one, and the other one. Yeah, exactly. And what's your favorite movie? I got many favorite movies on my list, but the best is probably Crank with Jason Statham. Right, and also The Bank Job being one of the best movies for me. So basically you're into movies about scams and bandits. Yeah, I definitely like those movies. What kind of music do you listen to? Well, I don't really have any limitations to my taste in music, but generally I love Russian rock music like Sektor, Gaza. I grew up listening to that. Like I'm turning 30 today, those kinds of songs. Right, I got you. So how much money do you need to be happy? There is no particular sum. If I had everything that I need, I wouldn't need money at all. And currently at the moment, I think $800 a day would be fine. A day? Yes. So 25,000 per month. Yeah, I guess that would be enough. Okay, so around 25 grand, I see. And what is happiness for you? Well, happiness for me is basically happiness for my family, my close ones. And I'm not just talking about like my wife and kids, but close ones, close people that are around me. Happiness for them, If there was a possibility to rewind your life, say 15 years back, would you change anything? Yes. What's that? I would tell myself to start now. Like, don't wait until you finish school, start scamming right now. So you would start even earlier. I would definitely do that. And if I knew all the schemes back then, I would have started even earlier. So I guess old habits die with you. So guys, a very interesting guest we had in our studio today. Some stories really made me laugh, like those of the jealous husbands and stuff. Sometimes I could hardly refrain from laughing. So good luck with your YouTube channel. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Subscribe to his channel and we'll follow up on his new career. And maybe a message for all of you guys, please be conscious at all times. Don't try to buy guns on the internet. Don't try to buy drugs, especially in ClearNet, on regular websites that you find in search. And in general, if someone offers you something, be super aware. Always double check, because we all know, and we all learned today, that there is no such thing as a free lunch. And if you buy something online on the internet, anything, especially through Telegram, you should always double check the seller's account and make sure it's the real one, because as we learned, if there is just one letter missing or if there's an extra letter, you can run into a talented scammer like this one and you will lose your money. So thanks for coming here. It was a pleasure to meet you and good luck with your channel. Thanks a lot, and that's a present from me to you. It's a lucky gun, which was really sold multiple times for more than like 6 grand to 8 grand. Thanks. I won't get locked up for it, right? You won't, don't worry. It's a pneumatic one. Yeah, a pneumatic one. You can have it on you anytime. Yeah, it's legit. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave your comments and your feedback, hit the like button, and tell us what guests you would love to see here next time. Maybe you will be here one day with your own fascinating story. Good luck to you all, and take care.